It seems almost cliche to say that World of Warcraft has lost a lot of steam lately. These days, it seems like more and more people are leaving World of Warcraft and joining Final Fantasy XIV. Now I've decided it's my turn to play Final Fantasy XIV. I didn't jump from World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy XIV, actually. I started out in vanilla, I went through the Burning Crusade, and then into Wrath of the Lich King. But by the time Wrath of the Lich King came to an end, the game just lost its appeal for me. The long hours of trying to reach my goal, the drama, the good just didn't outweigh the bad. So by the end of the Wrath of the Lich King, I was actually searching for a new game to play. And I actually did find it. I was just walking through GameStop one day, and I saw a game, I decided to try it, and I have been in love with it ever since. And that game was Monster Hunter Tri, of all things. And I have been in love with this series ever since. It's my favorite game series of all time. And those of you who have played Monster Hunter World will understand how Monster Hunter can transition into Final Fantasy XIV. But for me, there's a little more to it than that. I played every single Monster Hunter that has come out to the US. I fought every single boss I could, including all the Arch-Tempereds in Monster Hunter World. I love the amazing bosses. I love the dynamic fights. I love how you can change your weapon and armor to whatever you want to suit your needs. It's just amazing. And 4-player co-op? Well, when Monster Hunter World first came out, that's when I met one of my best friends online. Artemis. Okay. Ooh, right on its face! That was good timing.
I know.
For those of you who may not know, Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy XIV did a crossover, where people in Final Fantasy XIV were able to fight Rathalos, while Monster Hunter World got Behemoth. Artemis and I even managed to defeat Tempered Behemoth, which granted you that layered armor set.
Okay.
That's transmog for anybody wanting to know. But during our many fights with Behemoth, there were a lot of things that Artemis was talking about that I didn't really understand, and I kept asking her about it, and she said it was just part of Final Fantasy XIV. So for someone who only knew things about Monster Hunter, it was pretty confusing for me. But some of the things that Artemis told me about Final Fantasy XIV did catch my attention, not the least of which was the fact that you could play as every single class as one character. Artemis tells me that changing your weapon changes your class. I admit that I don't altogether understand what she's saying, but I'm pretty sure I will given time. I played WoW Classic when it first came out, but it just didn't have the same amount of appeal it did when I first started playing World of Warcraft way back in vanilla. But part of me really wants to start playing an MMORPG again. So Artemis recruited me to Final Fantasy XIV, and I decided to record my noobishness in this game. And when I say newbie, I really do mean it. The footage in this video has been pre-recorded, and looking back at that footage, the amount of times I could facepalm myself would leave me with a permanent handprint on my forehead. So Artemis, thank you for recruiting me, and let's do this. I look ridiculous. Okay, I made it to character creation, and these are pretty much my thoughts. So, we have people, elf people.
We represent the Lollipop Guild and we want you.
I'm gonna regret that. Cat people? Orcish looking people? I'm not even sure. Looks cool though. Thundercats, ho. Somebody's wet dream? Alright, in case you haven't noticed, I'm a bit of a smartass. I make fun of everything and everyone, including myself, so don't take me too seriously here. This character creation system is not the best nor the worst I've seen, and all the races do look relatively unique, and I can see why some people might not like this kind of style of art, but me, I'm kind of neutral on it. I may or may not grow to love it as time goes on, but we'll see. I spent some time messing with the appearance of every single race, and I'll admit there's quite a bit of variety here. There are some things I wish there was more of, like the way your face looks, but I can't complain. There are also 2 different variations to each race, and the game does explain that those people are from a different region and have a different culture, which is kind of interesting. You can even have a character with heterochromia, which just means that their 2 eyes are different colors. Some races have appearance settings that are very unique to them, such as the cat people and these dragon people, I guess. They have settings that change the appearance of their tail. Looks like you can also change the environment to see your character in different lighting. I remember Monster Hunter World having something like this. In the end, I am impressed by this character creation. It's not bad at all. Even the bunny girls, who I would say are my least favorite, grew on me when I was messing with their appearances because you can actually change the shape of their ears. It kind of looks cute. It was actually difficult for me to choose which character that I wanted. The game does allow you to save character appearances though, so you don't have to start over if you decide to try and look at something else. Ultimately, I decided I'm going to go with this character here. Now, I'm going to stop this right here because I know people are going to ask me this question. Why did I create a male character if I am a woman? I know people are going to ask me this question because my main character in World of Warcraft was a male orc warrior. Everyone asked me that question. And my answer was simply this. Orc for the racials, male for the shoulder pads. But that's only half true. If you'll notice in my Monster Hunter World videos, my character is a female. My character in Monster Hunter Rise is a male. I switch back and forth. The reason why is because when I create a character in a video game, I don't feel like I'm creating myself. I'm a natural story writer, and characters that I create in video games tend to be inspired by characters that I've created in my stories. Out of all the games I've ever played, so far there's only been 2 that made me feel like the character I'm playing is myself. And those 2 games are Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. That's it. This character here is not me, and he never will be. Whether he's a guy or girl, not me. That's just how my brain works. And in fact, this guy is actually inspired by a cat I was once acquainted with. I just imagined what he would look like if he was a cat person, and I just came up with this. This process actually helps me get attached to my characters. They're like my children more than anything. Next, the game asked me to pick my character's birthday, which I don't know why it did. Is there a reason for this? Can anyone answer me on this? Because this is confusing me. Is there any purpose to this, or is this just for role-playing? Next, it asked me to choose a guardian deity, and I'm honestly still not sure why this is significant. But we have the Goddess of War, and her symbol is the 3 spears. Goddess of Love, symbol is the full moon. God of Wisdom, symbol is the scroll. Goddess of Fate, symbol is the spinning wheel. Goddess of Navigation, symbol is the wave. God of Travelers, symbol is the walking stick. God of the Arts, symbol is the hand. God of Destruction, symbol is the streaking meteor. Goddess of Inquiry, symbol is the radiant sun. God of Commerce, symbol is the cowrie shell. Goddess of Abundance, symbol is the spring leaf. God of Time, and symbol is the hourglass. Well, I have absolutely no idea what any of this means. There's no god or goddess of smartasses, so I guess the God of Wisdom is the closest. And the only thing written on that scroll is my list of Chuck Norris jokes. Chuck Norris once spent an entire day practicing roundhouse kicks. The area at which he decided to do this is now known as Tornado Alley. Next, it asked me to choose my starting class. I saw the sword board, and I went for it. My favorite classes in World of Warcraft are the Warrior, the Mage, followed very closely by the Paladin and Shaman, so I'm going to try my hand at Tank in this game. Next, it asked me to choose my first and last name. Well, the name of the cat that inspired this guy's name was Booger, and obviously I'm not going to name him that. While cycling through the random names, I noticed that there was always an apostrophe followed by a syllable, that there was a certain pattern to it, and I looked it up, and actually there's a reason for it, so I came up with this name for my character. Matito Lakaya. I'll probably just call him Mati for short. By the way, I know I left out myself choosing a realm, but that's because I prefer my anonymity, and I imagine anyone who wants to find me will find me at some point, so let's just get into this. My character showed up in the cutscene, which is kinda cool. I didn't expect it. By the way, I'm going to leave out as many spoilers as I can, and I'm not going to record absolutely everything I do. So as far as I can tell, I wake up from some fever dream to some random guy who wants to talk to me. We get pulled over by some guards who say they want to search the wagon. This guy pulls some crack out of his crack and tries to frame us for it. But they get interrupted by these guys, and then the driver takes this time to haul ass out of here while we still can. Karma, you guys. It exists. So this guy asked me why I became an adventurer, And the option to choose just for the hell of it wasn't in the list, so I chose this, I guess. Seems like the closest answer. A little bit after that, the game starts to introduce the area that I'm going to be starting in. Then next comes the title of the game. Joking aside, I am impressed by the presentation in the beginning. Then it cuts to my character walking into the city, which kind of reminds me of walking into Disneyland. Anybody remember that? Like walking into downtown Disneyland? This just kind of reminds me of that. So then this guy with some funny looking glasses tries to catch my attention, and my character's reaction is pretty much the same as my own. Whoa, keyboard turning. Nope, nope, nope. Changing that ASAP. I'm used to strafing with the A and D keys. Much better. I discovered the HUD options. I really like the fact that this is actually in the game. You don't need a mod for this. You can move absolutely everything around, and you can change their sizes too. I'm going with this for now. Probably going to change it later, but whatever. Changing key bindings. I must have spent 5 or 10 minutes going through all the emotes just to see what they look like. The characters are very expressive. My character even moves his ears sometimes. Okay, that's pretty cute. Now on to some tutorial stuff. You probably don't need to see most of this. Screw the stairs. I look like an idiot. Did anybody do that when they first started their MMOs? Just jump around for no real reason. So my first objective was to go and touch this big crystal, and then some guy comes up to me and says, touch all the little crystals as well. I learned an ability that's kind of like a Hearthstone ability or something like that. Now this is kind of a tell of how much of a noob I am. I start accepting side quests. A lot of them. And this is completely unnecessary, but in my mind, I'm new here, and I need to find some quests that help me interact with this game. And the ones in the main city area aren't actually that bad, but I followed the side quests all the way out into one of the other areas, which I shouldn't do. Don't worry, I know now not to do this. I did notice that I had mail, though, so I tried searching for the nearest mailbox, or delivery Moogle. Picked up this little feather headpiece thing that grants extra experience for characters level 25 and below. So yeah, I put that on. Then I used this book here, and it taught me the fist bump emote? Oh yeah, that's immediately going on my hotbars. Touch. More side quests. Some of them did start teaching me how to interact with the world, though. Found my way to the Gladiators Guild, and picked up my class quest. Touch. Touch. Here's something I found interesting. I was walking around in this room, I think it was called the Goldsmiths Guild, and I noticed little attentions to detail on how all of the characters in here are working away at their little tasks and commenting on it. I thought it was really cool. Touch. I think this was the Miners Guild. Not much going on in here. Touch. Found my way over to the Weavers Guild, I think it's called. And again, I looked around and I was impressed by the details. People working on their tasks. This whole rack of cloth over here. This lady here working on the loom. And then this lady over here just working away, singing a song. I found this very fascinating. This game actually has you use emotes as quest objectives. That's very interesting. This guy wasn't impressed, though. My side quest led me upstairs. Touch. Touch. Found my way to the Alchemist's Guild, it looks like. Much the same thing. I looked around and gawked like a tourist. Here I am using the fast travel in the city for the first time. I like this idea that you can fast travel to major points in the city. Touch. I had to talk to this guy who was telling me about the markets and the vendors and stuff. The only thing I cared to buy was some food. Any food item gives you a small experience bonus. I got the boiled eggs because they gave me a tiny crit bonus too, and they were pretty cheap. Funny enough, I can't eat boiled eggs in real life. The texture will make me barf. And it actually shows Mati eating an egg. That's kind of funny. Touch. For the very last time in this city, at least. And then it stops me here and starts explaining something. I didn't realize it here, but I now know what this means is that once you touch all the crystals in the city, you can use the crystals to fast travel outside the city. You don't need to walk outside. Turned in my main story quest, and then my noob ass started picking up all the side quests. And I finally remembered I had a sprint button. Combat was pretty straightforward, and at the very least I did read the tutorial on how certain abilities combo into each other. Here's where I saw you didn't have to loot corpses, which is convenient. Okay, now this made me want to bang my head against the wall in embarrassment. I noticed I had an objective in the next area over. But instead of going through the city, and then out the other end, like a normal person probably would, I decided to walk all the way there. My noob ass walked my way all the way to my other objective like an idiot. Yeah. Well, it was a relatively interesting walk at least. I did notice these little markers on the map, and I didn't really know what they were until a little bit later. I stopped to look at one of those objectives that were taking place on the map. I didn't care to get any closer though. I encountered another one that was fairly close to where my objective was, and this is how I learned about the fate system, which seems to me like this little world event kind of thing that pops up every now and then. So you can do this to earn experience if you want. I saw some other people fighting this girl and I decided to jump in too. I felt like I was attacking this person with a toothpick for how much damage I was doing to it. Took us a while to get it down. Our poor friend here ended up dying. Rip. I leveled up and gained a new ability. It was called Total Eclipse, I think. It's some flashy AoE move, and it's pretty obvious to me that this move is going to be used for me to build up aggro on multiple targets. I saw this pumpkin patch and decided to check it out just for no real reason. And this person here commented on whether or not they think they can fit a pumpkin under their tunic, which got a chuckle out of me. Then my noob ass decided to check out this big tortoise. It does look pretty cool though, you gotta admit. Finally back in the city, turned in side quests, as well as my class quests, and picking up the next one. And now my class quests were starting to show a little bit of their own story. Here's where I finally learned I could use these crystals to teleport myself out of the city. I was looking for the nearest one to go outside the western gate, I think it was, to western Thanalan. And then I realized I could just click this button here. Yay, convenience. Now right here, I actually groaned in real life because I realized how much of an idiot I was. Then I noticed these little markers on these guys, which I knew meant something about my hunting log. Yes, I read the tutorial on it. At least I'm doing something right. More side quests. And then I walked into this place. I remember Artemis telling me about this. This was player housing. You can customize your own house and stuff. It's kind of cool, but I didn't care to stay for long. I went back out to do more class quests and side quests. Some of these guys were on my hunting log anyway. Got a new ability that reduces the damage I take. Obviously a tank spell. Joined another fate that was close by. Now this fate was different from the other one I did. This one you actually have to gather up these items, and you have to give it to another person. And that's what progresses it. And that's interesting. More side quests, including one that had me use emotes again. Now this is actually kind of cool. Walked out and joined another fate that popped up. This time it was just killing a certain amount of enemies. I did it with another person too. And then it was on to even more side quests. Until eventually I ran this guy out of town. Everyone thanks me, and eventually I go back to pick up more rewards. And then I keep doing more of my class quests. At least I'm doing this part correctly, right? I know that class quests are important, so either way. Killed these guys for my hunting log. And then this is when I finally used the return spell for the first time. Which is convenient. Turn this in, got some new rewards. And I was starting to think that my character was looking pretty good. He doesn't look like he's a tourist anymore, he actually looks like he's ready to fight. And that's when I realized how much I have over-leveled my main story quests. Artemis warned me about this. Oh my gosh, oh what a noob I am. So yeah, this concludes my first day in this game. Oh, I made several mistakes, but oh well. But at least I got some pieces of armor, so I can't be too mad. I promise I'll learn from my mistakes.